We'll take just a second to thank our friends from Hood for being such an important part of all of us being here together. Chef Coombs is the official spokesperson and chef of Hood Cream, which is used in many, many wonderful summertime dishes. In fact, it is the summer of foodie fun from Hood. Magic is very, very happy to be a part of this as well. I'm going to ask while you get started, for somebody like me, I like to think, I know what I'm doing in the kitchen. I really don't, but I delude myself that I do. But you've done a fantastic job of sort of scaling out and portioning out everything that's coming up here. And that's a really important step, whether you're cooking in the restaurant or whether you're cooking at home.
You know, David, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, the French actually call that mise en place. So one of the things I like to do before cooking, I like to really just focus on the cooking. So I like to have all my knife work done. I like to have everything chopped, lined up in perfect rows, everything ready to go, so I can really just focus on the cooking and making sure that I don't make any mistakes while cooking. So, you know, sometimes it's fun to really see how fast you can do it and prep as you cook, but I find that you can really nail the timing on things more effectively if you have everything prepared ahead of time and then you start cooking. Like this time of year, this is how I like to eat. I always like to eat in season because I don't know, I always feel better when I eat in season and know where everything's coming from, and it's just a good way to go through life.
Is that how you select what is going to be on the menu at the restaurants? I'm sure
it is.
At some of the restaurants, there's certain dishes that, you know, they're landmark dishes that you serve all the time,
Sure.
but other things that you change from time to time depending on what's available or what's in season.
You know, I really try and let local farmers, fishermen, inspire the menu. You know, I talk to them, I ask them, you know, what's coming up in the field? What are you catching in the boat? And I try and think about how all these ingredients really play together. And honestly, I think that there's an education that can happen nowadays, even just from going to Whole Foods and reading the farms and understanding the time of year that certain things come into season and why they do. I mean, for example, I love watermelon and I love tomatoes, but I only eat watermelon, tomatoes, and corn July, August, and a little bit of September. Right. If I see watermelon in January, and I love watermelon, I just don't touch it. It's just, you know, eating in the season and supporting your local economy as well, which, come to find out, Hood actually happens to be a local company based out of Charlestown as well.
I found out the last time we were together that your grandfather, do I have that right? Your grandfather?
My grandfather
was
and my great-grandfather. So this is actually a really interesting story. A lot of people are like, Chris, how did you end up the spokesperson for Hood Cream? How does something like that happen? And interestingly enough, my great-grandfather was actually a dairy farmer on Cherry Hill Farm up in Beverly, Massachusetts for 61 years. Raised the cattle, milked the cows, shipped it off to the plant. Then my grandfather actually drove the milk truck. My grandfather was the milkman for 47 years till the day he retired.
Wow.
So when I started to come up as a chef, Hood was like, hey, you know,
wouldn't it be great?
Your great-grandfather raised the milk, your grandfather delivered the milk, you cook with the milk and cream. So it was just a natural partnership.
Yeah. You'd mentioned Whole Foods. There's a lot of, I mean, we're fortunate in this area to have a lot of great markets where you can get great fish and great produce and farmers markets and whatnot. I'll start with the cream because we're here partly because of Hood. Is there a difference? I mean, you can get cream from a lot of different places.
Okay.
Why Hood?
So for me, as a chef, right, cream is all about good stability, okay? There's a lot of cream. You ever bake like a creme brulee or custard or something like that at home and it just breaks?
Falls apart, yeah.
It breaks, or you're whisking it and it gets like the fat globules. That's because it's not good stable cream. Good stable cream that's emulsified really well doesn't break. So as a chef, it's a very reliable product that I know I can trust and I know I can count on. This is basically, I mean, this is like a summer stew. It's like really light and wonderful. And you know, the thing is that I think a lot of people perceive cream as like being heavy and daunting, but I think it's all about how you use it, right? Like the old classical French days where you just like put a ton of cream in everything is so gross. And I really don't want anything to do with that era anymore. But I think the nouvelle approach to food is like everything in moderation. Like I remember growing up, I was like, my mother's like, oh, you should use margarine and you should use cream substitute in this. Now all these studies are like, hey, use butter and use cream because that stuff's better for you than all these substitutes that have come out there. So I don't know. I try and steer away from all those substitutes as best I can.